All righty. All right, today, Tuesday, April 7th at 7:38 a.m. Eastern Time. And we are all over the place, all over the place last few days. And again, it's all about the oil. All about oil. I think we got up to, where did we get to? I think 115 and 116. 116.56. So breach of R2 overnight. Did have a few sell-offs, but at the last few hour candles here, we are, making our way back up as the deadline ensues. It's been like, I actually completely blew off coming on yesterday because, again, I don't like to make it seem like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again either, because I do my best to not sound like every other jerk off out in La La Land. I don't sell anything, so I don't have to come on here and pitch something or feel like I have to pitch something. So I just didn't even feel like, what was there really to say? There's really not a lot to say today either. This market is what this market is, and it's all dependent on oil, and that is kind of the size of it. I did add a few pretty cool indicators, I think, to the mix here. There's this Lux Algo S&R Pro Toolkit. Now, I didn't pay anything for it. It was apparently free. I don't know if it comes with my subscription or not with TradingView. It didn't cost me anything. It may if you don't have a subscription. I don't know. I know most of the things from Lux Algo do cost money. So I don't know if it's something that's just like offered as part of whatever I'm paying. But anyway, I just thought I'd put this out here because the nice thing about this is I would usually draw all these lines that you see, right? Because I have the line down here. I would draw lines here, for points of resistance. And then as well down here, even if they didn't coordinate with the pivots here, and I would draw these. And the nice thing about this is that it does it for you. And, and the beauty thing about it is it doesn't just give you like the one line, it gives you a little bit of a zone. And I kind of like it. I'm lazy. I'll admit it. I'm lazy. I don't want to sit there and have to draw all these lines. Now, I think it's probably good if you're new at this and you're doing it, that maybe you draw your own lines so that you can kind of figure out your own kind of, swing high support resistance stuff. But this, I just found to be absolutely awesome as far as like me not having to draw the lines for, key points of support and support and resistance. And, the other thing too is like, look, they're not all like, when you look back, hindsight is great. When you look back and say, yeah, okay, that does look like a point of resistance, but when you roll forward and then start looking back, you realize that like they're not all gonna just work out, right? No matter what. They always look good when you look back, but when you start looking forward is when really, but I would just say for the most part, it's just nice having not to draw the lines. Now, not that they're all, I would actually draw a line here for me. This would be another point of interest. Again, because it's a swing low here on the hourly, right? High volume node, blah, 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 blah. But again, it's this nice because even when I'm using something else, like if I'm looking at the NASDAQ, I'm finding it to be very convenient, is what I should say, because then I don't have to sit here and go and draw all these lines. And I probably would have anyway. But again, it's nice to have something that does this. And what I thought was really cool is last night, it actually, or even yesterday, we butted up against this area that's highlighted from way back, and it actually extends it all the way out to the current. So if there is something like that we're hitting that is back in time, it does extend those lines out to where they're actually become useful. And it's not just these small short ones that you see here. So I just found it to be really, really cool thing. And these are the settings that I have right now. I'm using pivots for detection method. There's all different ones in here, like Donchian channel, the old, everyone knows who used to use those Donchian channels. The buy a bid, the global trade room. I don't know if anybody remembers the days of that fucking clown ass. And those JOs, but yeah, Donchian. See, I don't even know what this. Well, I don't. What if anybody knows what this is? I have no idea. And Zigzag, what the fuck is that? I don't even know what any of these are. Pivots look reasonable to me. I know what Donchian is. I don't know what this is. I don't even know what this is either. You can actually, and then the sensitivity, I put it up to 10 because that seemed to be a decent amount to where I'm not getting lines for everything. I did zones instead of levels. You could do levels and you'll see that it'll take these away. See how it takes the zones away? But I kind of like the zones because the zones, because we know that we're not going to just go and hit that freaking line every time. You know, it's just not going to happen. And then pretty much all this other stuff is just, this is standard. I didn't mess around with any of this. Overlapping, I did merge. I did merge them. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm still kind of, again, I've only been using this for, I think I turned it on last week sometime. So I've been using it for a very short time. This probably has better. One of these is probably better, like either hide the overlapping youngest precedence, like which is the newest, has precedence, but you know, I don't know. I just did merge for now. I actually did 5 here. I don't know if that's default or not. And these are basically the settings. And then I did, the colors and all that. You can make them different colors if you want. I'm using red and green for now. I did highlight sweeps, highlight breakouts. I don't know what the fuck that means, to be honest. I don't really know I know what sweeps and breakouts are. I don't know what those look like on here. In fact, I don't even know if I did this or this or this. I haven't really seen anything change in the chart, to be honest. Position is top right. Size, I did normal. You can actually do tiny, and it will actually change. I don't even know. I don't see anything even change, to be honest. I haven't seen any of this, changes in this change anything. But this has to do with the dashboard. There's like a dashboard for this that shows up, and I think I disabled it. Yeah, I disabled it. You can put a table up here, which I don't really give a fuck about. The last thing I want to see is like another. Last thing I want to see is another thing with fucking numbers in it. To be honest, my brain just doesn't. You can have the labels in it. See where it's got the, again, like more numbers that I don't really care to give a flip about. Like whatever. It's a support or resistance zone. I don't really want to know. I don't even know what the hell I don't even know what the hell half of that shit it means. Honestly. Maybe shame on me. I unclicked a lot of this other stuff. The boxes gives you this. which I thought was nice. And that's how I have it set up. And this seems to be good for me. Now, you can play around with it all you want. But again, I like it because now I don't have to draw any of this crap. I have these big lines now all the way across. Also coordinates with some pivots here, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so I like it. I like it. And again, I'm still kind of playing around with it, but I did add that one too. So for somebody who doesn't have a lot of indicators on my charts, I'm sure starting to accumulate some. But I wouldn't really call these, and again, I'm not going to call these indicators because these are really just, this is just doing something that I would manually do. And, I'm kind of automating my existence away. That's the way I look at it. And the nice thing is I can turn it off, right? TradingView has the option to turn shit off. That if you don't want to see it anymore, turn it off and don't use it. Okay, so that's the setup. Again, I kind of like it, and it's working for all the different futures products. I haven't tried it on, honestly, I haven't tried it on stocks yet. And I'm interested to do it and move it over there. And I'll try it on some stocks and see if it works. Some bigger ones, not some little shitbag rinky-dink stuff like, Apple, Tesla. One stock that's a little interesting to me right now is Tesla. Because, full disclosure, I have a pretty decent amount invested in Tesla. I have and it really has been doing well, and I'd like to see how this actually is working out. One thing I think, and again, anyway, I don't want to get off base here. I'll talk about it later, but here with gold, I thought it was pretty cool because I've been drawing a lot of lines on gold and been talking about the stair step up and the stair step down. If you look at gold on the longer terms here, and this thing pretty much laid these lines out perfect. Which again, I really like it. And even on a 4 hour, when you go to a 4 hour, right, it comes up and it's clean. It's clean and it's not all over the place. Like you don't have lines. Like I know the problem a lot of times with some of these indicators, like they put so much shit on the chart and then you just can't even read it. And it becomes like almost unreadable. So now if you clean my chart up there, and those lines, I drew those all myself. These all down here, and these are all these, stair step. Again, we keep making higher lows in gold, and we do seem to be in what I believe, a pretty strong recovery phase of gold, but we have not been able to break. We did break a little bit out of this trend, this downtrend here for a while, but we have not been able to get above it. And let me just clean this up just so and we have not been able to get above this and that line that comes through here. We've not been able to get above this and then have that be support. And that's been kind of gold's problem this whole last, I'm going to say, it's been about 2 weeks since we've got up into this range. And that has been gold's issue. And it needs to break out in there and actually make that support in order to get into that next leg up, which is probably, getting back to at least 48. I would call it 48,800, but 4,800s, and then kind of maintain itself over 4,700. Seems to be an enormous amount of resistance up here at 4730s. And that is really a key area, in my opinion, on gold. And if it's able to make that next leg up, and truly reverse this pattern, and because if it does stall here and then make another and start to, stair step back down, Again, it will actually negate the recovery thesis, in my opinion. Again, least short term. And so that's kind of the story with gold overall. And I've been trading gold a lot more, only because it's really been the only thing that's, besides crude oil, it's really the only other thing that's been moving, especially during the nighttime, during like the 8 o'clock. 8 to 9:30 kind of shift at night. It's the only thing that really has moved. Everything else has been pretty meh. And so that's why I've been trading that. So now let's get into some levels, and we'll take a look here. I particularly like, and then the reason I like this thing is because now we're going to get into this, and this is going to give us there is a lot of resistance up here. And it's not just on the Russell. You can use basically anything. And I'm kind of the Russell person now. I pretty much like trading the Russell. It's just preference. But we have a lot of resistance up here. Like, not only just are these pivots, but you have a good number of areas that we just have not been able to, like, it seems like every time we get up in this like 2560 area, we cannot break it. And there seems to be something to just have it fall. And then it doesn't just fall. It doesn't fall slowly and methodically. It dumps. And so, it's definitely an area to keep an eye on in the Russell here, specifically 25. I think, you start getting up to 2560, and I'm actually going to set an alert at 2560. You get up to 2560, you really got to be watching this for a reversal. And, it's been the trade. Now, it is eventually not going to work, because that's just usually how the market works, right? It'll keep happening, and then all of a sudden it doesn't happen anymore, and then we get a breakout. But even so, if we get a breakout, right, it should, it should change the range at least, because we have been extremely range bound the last couple of weeks, and you can see it pretty clearly. You can see it pretty clearly here, right? If you were to mark lines down here, you pretty much have down here, right, at about 2410s, and then up at that 2560 area up here. And we have not really moved at all through there. That's a big range, though, right? Especially if you're a range trader, like you're cutting this up, you're buying these lows down here, and then you're riding them up, and then you're selling these highs. And if you've been able to do that over the last really month, this dates back to what, the 26th. So especially the last couple of weeks, last 2-3 weeks, you've been able to cut this up, and that's true with everything. It's not just that. So those are some areas that I would keep an eye on. Would be the 2560s in the Russell, and then on the downside, 2450s. I mean, I hope I'm not talking about 2450s, because I think we have other problems then if I'm talking 2450s. I think it's really important for these markets to kind of hold their own right here. And that is kind of the story there in the Russell. NASDAQ looks very much the same. Huge amount of resistance as we get up to 24 550s. and 24,600, right? Real heavy resistance up there, and it gets thicker. You can see this profile gets thicker and thicker as we kind of go in here. So those are going to be some other key areas of, are we able to get out and break out and make these resistance? I don't know, right? I don't know. But that is kind of the story with that. And then if we're looking at the NASDAQ, and let me just clean this up just so this doesn't, because I know this would annoy me if I was looking at this. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? We got all this crap all over your charts. Let's just clean some of these up. But, you know, you start drilling out on this, and you see that we really have right in this chart, probably specifically. Let's just get rid of the pivots even here for a minute. Right, you see all this kind of chug here that we have just been smashing our head on. And I think it's going to continue as long as right, you start, right? I mean, if you start drawing stuff in here, you can really see that there's just a lot of chug in there. And that's kind of been the deal, is just chopping around in here and being able to get out of this range. Now, I think the good thing is that we were able to kind of find buyers down here. We were able to find buyers down here. Because this could have been really kind of devastating. And you can see here, we actually found buyers like right around in the same area as we were before the last time we were down there. This is back in September, the September lows. So we were able to find the buyers down here. We've been able to find the buyers here, and we've been able to find the buyers here. You know, does that continue? I don't know. The market's been overall, in my opinion, extremely resilient through all this. So, you know, we will see. But as I said, there is a lot of resistance up here, and it's going to be very, I don't know. It's going to be hard for the market. It's going to have to be something to rally on. And I don't know if that's whatever the news is. Obviously, it'll probably be partly some of the news coming out of Iran, and like good news coming out of Iran, if that's the case. Obviously, I don't know if it'll actually have to be all of that. It's going to have to be something else too, because I think everything going on over there has been baked in. And the only thing that we may even get from any good news over there is maybe a pretty decent reduction in oil prices. And then, we're going to get that initial like hooray type of thing in the market. But I don't know if it's enough to keep it up here. It's going to need earnings and all those other things that we need economically. So anyway, that's just kind of a macro look at things there on that. And so if I'm going to be looking for trades today, I'm going to be looking for quite possibly mostly, I'm going to lean into it a little bit, and I'm seeing oil kind of catch a bid here. I think the trades are going to be to the downside today, only because of just the way oil is trading. I just think it's going to be easier to take the shorts. I think you're going to get a little bit more momentum in a short than a long. I don't know if there's, let me just check to see if there's even, I know there's econ today, but I don't know if it's anything. Durable goods, though, that really doesn't, that's not a very big market mover. Honestly, it's not. In my opinion, it's not. I mean, I've never really seen it be. This is actually a pretty big number here. This logistics manager survey, I was actually watching this. This is actually coming in pretty high. Prior was 61 and a half. We're at 65.7, and this is actually higher than it's been in quite some time. So this is actually a big number. That is a big number. Which I'm surprised with that being such a big number, the market's not responding. But again, I don't know if this econ is going to be anything worth moving. No one's watching what economic. Like, I think on any other day, if there wasn't anything going on and oil wasn't $115, I think the market moves pretty good on this number. So anyway, not really anything on the docket to get crazy about there. So if I'm going to be looking for short trades. I don't even know if I'm really going to trade that much today, folks. I'd be honest. I think it's just going to be a real choppy day, and everyone's going to be watching the news cycle. And, I honestly don't think anything is really going to come out. There's going to be drips and drabs of information that come out, but I don't think anything's really going to happen until this evening. Honestly, I don't think really that's going to be kind of the tell. And that's about it, because when I start looking at like where these markets have been overnight, I don't feel very confident either way, and just because the market's just kind of been in this like really odd drift, and where it's not even drifting. Usually there's a positive drift, and there is not even like a positive drift anymore. It's just a lifeless drift almost to nowhere, where it literally just goes nowhere. And so anyway, that is kind of the story there. I'm seeing crude oil take a little bit of a rally here, pretty hard here now, getting back up to those highs. I don't know if there's news. Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. No real. So that is kind of the big, that's kind of the whole shoot match. I don't even know if I'm going to do much today. I still like longs in gold on pullbacks, but you're going to have to be pretty strategic because the moves down have been pretty violent. They have been pretty, they've definitely been pretty violent. So if you're not real strategic about it, you're going to have a rough time. And I wish I had more, but I don't. And we're kind of in that kind of pattern now. Just sit and wait. Now, as far as stocks, what I had done with many of my stocks is I finally bit the bullet late last week, mostly. Was mainly Thursday and a little bit yesterday, was I started selling some calls on my stocks. I sold some calls. I sold the 400 calls on Tesla. Those seem to be doing pretty well. I sold the 280 calls on Apple, on Bappel. I sold the 280 calls. And I'm going to put that indicator on here. Let me put that indicator on here and see how that works. Because, again, I want to start looking at that. Why did I not put that as my favorites? There's a bunch in here. Wow, that actually works. That looks like it works pretty damn good. Um, and now I would use this. Now, if I'm actually using this, I would actually use this to sell options, right? I would sell puts under here, and I would sell calls over here. And I actually did that. And look, I didn't even look at this. And so I sold the 280 calls, right? Probably the 290s were probably even better, or 285s. But again, this does give a nice picture of like where support and resistance is visually, which is nice. So I didn't look at Tesla yet. I sold the 400 calls. It says 500, nothing at 400 though. It's been kind of a straight shoot right down here, like no signs of any. So I think that's probably as good as there's a spot here, 470s. But and then on the downside, it looks like literally $300. So maybe Tesla's headed to $300. So that's what I had started doing. I don't, as far as like my positions, Oracle. This one is just they're I don't know. This company is in really bad shape, and I don't mean like even like financially, but socially, with the way they just laid a bunch of people off. Not really sitting well at all, man. Pretty scummy. Bring people into a room or into something and give them a story. I mean, I'm not going to say I feel sorry for the people because, look, I mean, I've been there before. And with those jobs, that's kind of how it works. They're going to get, I'm assuming those people are going to get severance packages, and they probably have pretty decent 401ks. I would assume many of them were making over $250 a year. So don't completely feel sorry for them. Like, they're like some factory worker making $70,000 a year, lost their job. These are people that are probably bringing down a decent chunk of change. And I would think many of them will be just fine going to work for another cloud provider or whatever. Or I don't know. Maybe they never did. Maybe they didn't fucking do anything. Maybe they're just, right? Who knows? I don't know. There's a ton of people in every company that don't do shit. So anyway, yeah, and I'm still bearish on software. And I don't really have any positions on it. I'm still going to continue to be bearish on software. And again, my thesis on stocks is that there really has been nothing. The only stock that I actually like long, or stocks I like long, is really Apple and Netflix, and to a lesser extent Palantir. I mean, those are really like the only big ones that I kind of like here, and that I would put new money in. Just because they seem to kind of be holding their own through all this. And and that's it. I really don't have much of anything else. I wish I did. This is all the reasons why I didn't even do anything broadcast yesterday, because I just felt like it wasn't even worth it. Like, when you come on and say, rah, rah, you know what I mean? And then, if I was a charlatan like many of the other clowns out here, right, I'd have to pitch my, here's your code for the, funded, use my code, on a funded account, you get 30% off, right? Like, it seems like every freaking buddy out there in La La Land now is like a paid spokesman for some funding company. My God, like these people are like such parasites, man. They are. It's sad. Speaking of, did pretty good last night in the Express account. Didn't trade it much at all last week, but mainly that was actually just a couple of gold trades. Full disclosure, I was down right before I took that trade, and that one trade actually put me in the green for the day. But I want to share something, because someone said to me, like, oh, you got to make sure. This is my win rate, folks. And this is a funded account, and I actually got there, right? I did this is a 50K Express. I did it. I passed it with like about a 35 or 37% win rate. So again, it's not about win rate. It's that when I take losses, my losses are so small, they don't affect me. But when I win relatively big. And so that's kind of the story, folks. So don't get wrapped around, don't let everybody wrap their heads around like, I got a 70% win rate. Who gives a shit? I don't care. I don't care what your win rate is. Do you make money? Do you make money? You know, and look, I'm just kind of grinding away in this account. I said my objective is to get it up to about 3K, and then I'm going to be worried. Then I'll worry about start taking money out. I'm just trading micros in here. I'm not doing any big trades. I'm not trading the big contracts. I'm trading nothing but micros, and I'm just looking to kind of, and it's my first funded account in over 10, I want to say it was like 10 years ago. I was with Top Step and I had a funded account, and I told you I lost it. But it's my first funded account in over 10 years. And I'm looking to keep it. I'm treating it like real money, the way you should. And I'm just looking to build it. I don't need the money. And I'm just doing it to build another kind of little nest egg and a little place to make some money. Now, I did open an account with Lucid. This is new. I did this yesterday, 2 days ago. Or Monday. It was Monday morning. I wasn't sleeping, and it was Monday morning at like 12 midnight, 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. But I did open an account with Lucid. I did the instant funding. So I haven't done any trades in this yet because I was just getting set up with this, and I'm still trading that other account. Plus I have my own accounts, right? So this is like yet another account that I got to fucking deal with. But anyway. And I don't have everything linked yet. I may go down that road and try and have everything get linked together, but I'm not really worried about that right now. I kind of like having them separate because I kind of do the way I have things separate. I trade differently in my personal accounts than I do in these funded accounts. So anyway, I did the express funding, and I got a 40% discount on it. It was $360, I think, is what it was. So there, I think it was worth it. It sounds like the rules sound pretty cool. From what I understand, it's like $3,000, and you make $3,000 and you can start sucking money out right away as soon as you hit the 3,000. So as soon as you hit the profit target, and then you're instantly funded. It's not like you go into, it's not like you pass, and it's not like Top Step, and then you pass, and then you go into, whatever, but blah, 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 blah. It's like an instantly funded. And I kind of like that because I really didn't want to go through another evaluation and deal with that. I feel like, I've been doing this long enough where I don't want to go through all that shit. I just, you want me to make $3,000 and as a cushion, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I think I could only take out like 1,000 or something like. I don't even know what it is, but you can't take out the whole 3,000, which I get. I mean, I understand that, but I'm not going to have to go through an evaluation phase and then get tossed into yet another account, and then jump another hoop. So I mean, that's one thing that's nice about the, instant funding type of account. Now, again, this is new to me. I've never really used any of these other ones before. The only one I've ever used was Top Step. So again, this one is new. I do like this interface, which is this Luciada or whatever the hell it's called. This is much nicer than Top Step X. It's based on TradingView, but this is much, much nicer than Top Step X. I almost wish Top Step X would trash what they're doing and just adopt this, because this is so much nicer. It's much cleaner. It feels more stable. I think there's more like indicators that I use. They have pivots here. I don't have to put my own pivots. I like the dome better. It's again, it's just a much. I feel like it's a much cleaner, more simplistic platform. So anyway, so they got that going on. So I'll continue to give updates on that as I trade this account. Hopefully it's a 50K. I did a 50K, just so you know. I have the balance blanked out because I don't like to look at the balance. I don't like to look at the balances when I trade because, to me, it's like you don't want to have that kind of hanging over your head. And looks like crude oil is like dropping like a stone. I don't know what happened, but maybe did news come out or what? Iran, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Let's see, Trump, a wonderful thing. U.S. struck targets on Karg Island that were hit previously. Weekly employment, actual 26K. Military objectives of Iran war have been completed. Okay. All right. So I guess that's what oil's dropping on. I have fucking no idea. Who knows, man? Who in the hell knows? I mean, I'm really starting to believe that whole thing going on over there is nothing more than a central casting, man. He said it. How many freaking times did he say central casting, dude? How many times? He's said it. I can't tell you how many times in the last week or two since this war started. He's said it at least a half a dozen times. The central casting. And I'm really starting to believe that this is all central casting, dude. Meaning that this is all just one big movie, man. Anyway, that's all I got. Crude oil actually backing off quite a bit. Did get up to 116. Still trading pretty high, which means my diesel prices are going to be over freaking $6 probably by tomorrow. Which is bullshit because diesel costs less money to make than freaking gas does. But anyway, that's all I got. Have a good one. Trade them tight and